feeling.
Hey, this is Nomad, host and creator of the Career Musician Podcast. Why do they call me Nomad? Well, I traveled the globe, spreading the joy of music one song at a time. And now I bring you wisdom, tried and true knowledge, and life experiences of my colleagues and peers in this crazy business we call music.
Nomad, can you give me guitar lessons? Can you teach me how to play the guitar?
No, I won't, but this episode's guest will.
This is the Career Musician Podcast with your host, Nomad.
1.4 million subscribers on YouTube, 28 some odd thousand Twitter followers, 144 followers on Instagram, 302,000 followers on Facebook. My goodness, this man, Marty Schwartz with Marty Music, has indeed gone viral with guitar lessons. But the question is, folks, how did he do it? Well, there's no secret sauce. There's no formula. He just put in the time, hard work, perseverance, discipline, diligence brought him to the point where he is today. And let me tell you, he has a knack for breaking things down in the most simple, easily digestible manner to teach anyone how to play just about anything on guitar. I am here today with Mr. Marty Schwartz, YouTube guitar educator extraordinaire.
Oh, please stop. I'm so embarrassed.
So listen, first of all, Marty, this is the coolest man cave I've been in and since mine.
All right, yeah.
No, this is
with
awesome.
All due respect, yeah.
Yeah, and we just did a live stream for your YouTube and Facebook channels.
That was super fun, man.
That was awesome. First of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being there.
Amazing. And thank you for being a guest on the Career Musician.
Yeah, you know, we scratching each other's backs here, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
I like
we're
that.
Actually killing two birds with
yeah.
one stone. Yeah. So
although I don't like to kill birds.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't like no animal killing here. Yeah, man, it's so fun. I mean, just being able to get to do what we do, and I mean, literally, we just jammed and talked guitar for the last few hours. So.
I mean,
what's wrong with that?
Right. We can't take it for granted. We are blessed, truly.
For sure.
And, you know, just to recap, we met at the Guitar Lesson Conference.
Yep.
Hosted by Guitar Ninjas, Mr.
Yep.
Jason Land.
Yeah.
That was a blast.
Now I have a younger brother who was my first guitar student. His name's Zach. He's been in some videos with me, but that's how I met Guitar Ninjas. It was actually through my brother Zach.
Gotcha.
So he's got... Well, Zach's 7 years younger than me, but Zach is up in Orange County, and he knows some musicians and stuff, and he has a buddy that has his own music school as well, not Guitar Ninjas.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, through that connection, basically, is how I met Guitar Ninjas for that thing to pop up. But, yeah.
Man,
you know, networking.
I was networking in the industry is so small. You know, everything's connected somehow.
Actually, yeah, I do have an interesting thing about that, and it is related to my buddy Elliot Yamin. But what I told him is, because the world keeps getting smaller and smaller in the music world, because you were like, oh, Jason Eskridge. And I'm like, yeah, that's my friend.
Right, from Nashville, yeah.
But what I told Elliot, and I think you can relate to this, is that if the music industry, whatever that is, hasn't spit you out by the time you've been doing it as long as you and me, then it's actually really small.
That's right.
You actually end up knowing everybody, because if you haven't been spit out, man, then
you're getting
if you haven't
recycled.
quit or you know, if you haven't quit or
Right.
given up or just been spit out, then you do end up knowing everyone. Like,
Man,
it's
that's
so
true.
weird, some of the connections. Like, Jason Eskridge knows so many people that now
Right.
I feel like it's not that weird to meet someone and they know Jason.
But how about this, though? We know Jason Land, Guitar Ninjas.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
know Jason Eskridge from Nashville.
Yes.
We know Filthy Philip Lassiter.
Right.
Who's associated with Elliot Yamin.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just...
you played with American Idol.
I played with American Idol in 2005.
Yeah.
You have your association there. I mean, there's so many connections. Oh, and by
Yeah.
the way, you said that you have done some work with Taylor here and there.
Yeah.
Tim Godwin is a good friend as well. You know,
of yours?
Yes.
Awesome,
absolutely.
me too.
So,
I love that guy.
yeah, it's all full circle.
Yeah, Tim Godwin is my introduction into Taylor guitars.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
that's who I met and it turns out that we're neighbors. We're not next door neighbors, but we're he lives the next street up from me.
How
But
awesome
the weirdest
is
thing is we met at the NAMM show, then we met maybe 2 more times in Nashville, and I feel like it was that third time in Nashville where it was like, oh, I live in North San Diego, and he said, oh, I do too, and I said, oh, I live on this street, and he was like, I live right there, and so we've barely seen each other in the neighborhood, but it turns out that we're actually neighbors. But anyway, awesome dude.
Incredible.
And I say it over and over, but hey, it's a new day. I think Taylor Guitars is really lucky to have Tim Godwin working with him.
Absolutely. Agreed. All right, so
Yeah,
let's talk about you.
Please, yes.
So,
please.
first of all, brief history. What inspired you? Now, I spoke to your dad, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I
What
know. I was
inspired
there.
you?
I was there.
What inspired you to get into guitar? From what I understand, you kind of got into it later on in the life pattern.
For sure. I was definitely not a childhood music prodigy by any means. I got a guitar when I was 13, and I just got taken to the guitar shop. And the teacher had no interest in it getting me excited. It was just right out of the Mel Bay book, which tends to be more of a tradition back in the olden days. Like think of a proper piano lesson, right? It's like a torturous experience. I mean, people relate to their piano lessons as torture sessions, right? So, I went into this guitar lesson when I was 13, and it was not a torture session, but in the same regard, he didn't show me Iron Man or Paranoid or a power chord or an AC/DC song. He didn't do any of that, and so I was like, oh, it's not for me. It wasn't fun, it wasn't exciting, and so it didn't stick. But then later, senior year of high school, a bunch of my buddies were actually already really good at guitar, and they were just cool, and I felt a little left out, so I wanted to kind of be a part of that. And so I just bought a $20 harmonica and figured out a couple of blues licks, and was able to jam with those same friends on harmonica, right? So that was kind of my foot in the door. And then by doing that, I was like, oh, just show me 2 chords on guitar. Just so, when people are plugging in or tuning up or whatever, I can grab a guitar and play 2 chords. I'm not going to be a guitar player, but just I'm curious.
Sure.
Oh, shit, this wasn't as hard as I thought. Okay, show me a 3rd chord, And so it's just in the process of hanging out with my high school buddies, who I still play music with some of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And, I'm still friends with all those same people.
One of whom's sitting right
Yeah,
here,
we got
Mr.
one right
Marcello.
here.
Hey,
Yeah.
back there in the corner.
Mark is hanging out right now, but he was here hanging out for the live stream
That's right.
that you were on with me. And he is one of those friends. So I just kind of learned casually from friends. But then when I realized, oh, damn it, this isn't as hard as I thought, as the bad experience I had. And I've told that kind of story in different versions along the years.
Sure.
Like the crappy teacher, and then just having fun with friends,
Right.
And so once that happened, and I realized, it's coming supernaturally to me all of a sudden. And then also girls liked it. I want to rewind and say that's a huge motivation. Yeah, no, but it is true. It is true, getting the finding your angles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, oh my God, it's not as hard as I thought, because I'm just learning it in a fun, casual way.
Right.
And I'm learning stuff that sounds familiar right away. I could strum 2 chords of a Rolling Stones song, and go, oh, okay, I recognize that.
I get it.
But it's easy.
Yes.
I'm not doing anything hard. And then from there, it's just like any obsession or addiction. It's just, I just kept taking a little bit more. And it's also part of the concept of how I teach is just tiny new little things every day. You just keep adding tiny little things. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming amount of information.
Baby steps. That's how we tackle anything, right?
Yeah.
So you asked me earlier in the live stream, I'm going to ask you, who's your favorite player? Or what is the player that perhaps most inspired you as you were coming up?
Yeah.
Or a handful of players.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk about that, because I had some different transitions. When I got obsessed with first playing guitar, it was in the early 90s, so I just happenstance was getting into the 90s jam bands and playing harmonica, this band Blues Traveler.
Blues Traveler, yeah.
So that was kind of one of those it was just the timing in my life
Sure.
that led to it more than like them being my favorite band. But at the time, it was just timing.
That's what was popular.
Yeah,
Hearing
and so that kind of led to it, but then that opened the doors to a lot of other things. But I would say, like, definitely spent a lot of time with the Allman Brothers, classic rock, so Jimmy Page and the Allman Brothers, and the Beatles, which isn't like a guitar hero, but like, you know, music that I was responding to.
Right,
you know?
and it's melodic.
Yeah.
It's hooky. It's got all the elements. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, and then you've got like the Bob Marley, and then I've got that jam band, so I've got the Grateful Dead in there.
I love that.
And when I was learning guitar, Fish was kind of exploding, and I was that perfect college age playing guitar, so that had a big influence. And then, you know, Hendrix from the very beginning and Stevie Ray Vaughan from the very beginning. I've used this answer before when someone says, "Oh, what's the best guitar solo ever?" Because it's there's no answer.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I do have the one in my pocket. I always say SRV Little Wing, because the whole thing's a solo.
Right.
The whole thing is like the most epic guitar solo.
The way he crafted it, yeah.
And yeah, someone could argue and probably convince me of a better one, and I'd be open to it. But like since I've had that question thrown at me, that's the one that I always had prepared, and then I'd start to think about it. So I was definitely mesmerized by SRV before I could even play guitar. So where it really seemed like magic.
Right.
You're like, look at this. Like seemed like an impossible thing to do.
Right.
So it was godly.
And he melded so many different influences with the blues.
Yeah.
So he has the classic rock and the soulful things that he melded with the blues, and almost made his own brand of blues, right?
Yeah. And I still know, like, I bought, I think it was Texas Flood.
Right.
I bought in high school, and I definitely did not play guitar, and I bought the album. I was not even a possibility that I was going to be a guitar player when I was listening to that. But there's just the classics too,
Right.
Like, and for me, it's Hendrix and the Allman Brothers and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, Bob Marley, Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead. I love Sly and the Family Stone.
Ooh.
I always gravitated towards like funky, soulful stuff, even when I was little.
Talk about the funk.
Yeah, because I actually, what was cool is when I met you for the very first time at that guitar lesson conference, we were all talking about, we each had an hour slot that we were going to talk.
Yeah, it was a little under an hour, I think.
Or what, 45 minutes or something like that. But so we're kind of in the little green room, and we're like meeting each other, and what's your, because the titles of our slots are on there, and you were like, oh, I'm doing a funk guitar thing, and I was like immediately like, oh.
Yeah.
I always think of the guitar world like, in other words, when I saw you, I would expect you to be doing like, it's total stereotyping, but like finger tapping, shred, or like that guitar world,
the guitar clinic type stuff.
Exactly, and I don't mean it as a bad thing.
No,
but so when someone I see someone like, oh, I'm doing like funk and pocket playing and groove playing or whatever, I'm like, oh shit, I want to check this out.
Yeah.
Like because and anyone that watches me know I don't do the shred thing, so.
But I love it.
I admire it.
I love it. Same here. I admire it as well. But you have such a soulful approach. And all the influences that you just named, what's so funny is I can hear traces of all of that in you, And that's a beautiful thing. But they all they all come together to make you up uniquely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone's style is really just how they're pulling from their influences. Their soup.
Yes.
Their soup that they put together, oh, a little Hendrix, a little this. And like the best players are the ones where it's like you can hear it in there, but it's immediately their own. But you can hear the what's influencing them, but right away that it's them. And I mean Jerry Garcia.
Yeah.
Like you only need one note to know it's him.
That's right. So let's talk about that, because so many aspiring career musicians are trying to figure out how to develop their own voice. So what would be your... I know there's no prescription that we can set out, but how, what would be some of the ways that you can find that voice to really be unique and be yourself?
Well, I think identifying with the things that move you the most, right?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense, right?
What we were just saying, absolutely, yeah.
And so, it's identifying with the emotional content you get from what grabs you, right?
Right.
And having that inspire you, to stay inspired.
How it hits you, how it
yeah,
touches
how it
you.
hits you,
Yeah.
and then
How would you so once you figured that out, let's say you figured it out, it was the classic rock, the jam bandy stuff.
Isn't the
right?
trick though that we're never going to fully figure it out?
We're never going to, but what's the next step?
It's like a journey.
Yeah, so maybe but you guys like you and I have kind of figured it out, our own unique
I know what you
voice.
mean. I know what
so
you're saying.
what's that next step that we would take or that we have taken?
Yeah. It's like serving the music,
Great.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like being so... I think of myself as a 20-year-old, and I wanted to be better than that other guy. Or I was sizing the other guy up. You can't...
There's a competitive edge.
Yeah, I feel like you can't help that. And
Right.
the younger you are, the more that's just what you're used to. Like from the time of childhood playing video games against your friends. You want to beat them,
So there's the competitive edge. There's identifying with what you
But
like.
what I'm saying is getting beyond that.
Beyond that.
Serving
the music, not yourself.
Yeah, and so I do like the jam bandy, stretch out jams and all that. So in those types of situations, where you're listening to everyone and you're all serving this like greater power. Like when you get lost in that music and you get into that other Nirvana or whatever it is.
It's the best.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's why we all do it to come back to that like feeling. And you don't get it every time, but I think it's about serving the music, listening. Obviously the more it's like the martial arts thing or anything else, it's like you learn all the stuff, you learn all the skills, you learn all the licks, so eventually you're not thinking about any of it, right?
So it becomes second nature.
That doesn't always happen.
Right.
And there's times where I'm pulling from some, here comes my fast dweedly lick, But the more you can let it just happen, that's what it's for.
That's what it's about.
I don't even remember what question I'm answering right now.
It's perfect. Well, it's talking about cultivating your own voice, but
right.
but that is another component of it. So learn the foundation, learn the fundamentals, get a foundation so that all of the little tricks and techniques become second nature. Now your personality can come through as you're employing those techniques, but you're not just playing it for the sake of doing sweep picking.
Right. And
Or hammer-ons and pulls.
yeah, and the older you get, the more you want to get away from sounding like just your one hero.
That's right.
I'm trying to get practical now, right? Because I see a lot of people that play like a whole run of things that sound like John Mayer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we're all pulling from that. So I'm not saying, that's how you do it. But I'd say finding your own voice is trying to be open to multiple influences,
That's right.
And I think the younger you are and you get fired up, like I know, like when I'm talking about the 90s thing, it's like, I'm learning those Fish songs, I'm learning those Blues Traveler songs. I'm pretty much in a narrow lane to start with.
Right.
But, what inspired those bands? Oh, the Dead, the Allman Brothers. Oh, well, let me go to the source. What inspired them? Oh, Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters, Robert Johnson. Yeah.
So it's a maturity thing, and it's the journey, right?
It's the journey.
It's the like... You open up one thing to find that there's a whole nother mystery box.
Pandora's box. And they don't stop. Those little
it
boxes.
Never stops. So the more you can dive into that, basically, and even like I love Jerry Garcia, but if I hear someone copying exactly Jerry Garcia, there's no magic. It's like or someone in a tribute band,
right,
or something like, which actually is its own
cool.
skill.
It's fun because you get to go back memory lane. Yeah,
it is cool. Like I'm not saying it in a negative way, but when you're talking about finding your own voice, I would say the more influences that you're pulling from is probably your realistically your best bet.
There you go.
But ultimately, you're trying to serve the music and not think about anything. Good luck.
Well said.
I'll let you know if it ever happens.
Well said, and I'm leaving that one right there. That
I'll
is
let you know if it ever happens for me.
Perfect answer.
I don't think anyone gets there.
All right. Well, you heard it from Marty himself. It's a process. It takes time to find your own voice as a guitar player. For that matter, as anything, no matter what you pursue in life, you got to figure out what feels natural and right to you. So that's great advice. Thank you, Marty. Now, on part 2 of this awesome interview, let's hear a little bit about what Marty thinks of business and marketing and sales, and just how did he really go viral? Well, there's more than meets the eye. There's always a plan. There's always preparation. In fact, you know the definition of luck, right? That's when preparedness meets opportunity.
Learning the secrets of the industry from the veterans who know it best. Be sure to subscribe to the Career Musician Podcast.
So you're in this I agree. You're in this little competitive but really friendly circle of, high school buds and stuff. And then you go to college. Again, Pops told me about your little college stint.
Yeah,
So you go to college for film.
Yeah, because, once again, in senior year of high school, I've been playing guitar for 1 year. I'm not, Marty needs to go to music school and become a rock star. Like, no, there was no one, me nor anyone else is talking about me going to do music, It was like this new, passionate hobby that girls liked, and I had so much fun doing it. But it wasn't like, oh, what's your dream career? Yeah, who doesn't want to be a rock star? But, like, I was very realistic about the fact that it was just this fun new thing I discovered that I was pretty good at.
Okay. So you had excelled quickly.
Yeah, but I was always known, like, from the time we had camcorders and stuff, I was a movie geek, Star Wars and Indiana Jones and action movies growing up as a kid. And, I was just super into that. So when I realized that, very young, when I realized that there was a person that made Star Wars. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was this thing that blew our minds.
You discover the back end engineering.
When I actually learned that someone came up with it and then put it there and changed my life, that I was like, oh, I want to do that. Cool. So I was just inspired in that way. And then I went to a school that was known for like a film program, and I was a film major for 2 years, but all I was doing was playing guitar. All I was doing. Wow. I met the coolest people at the school happened to be in the music program. The coolest teachers that would like hang out with you were in the music program. I looked up to those guys because there were some talented people there.
Sure.
Kip Winger taught a course there.
Kip Winger from the band Winger. That is awesome.
Yeah. Once again, it was still just something I was passionate about. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a music minor just so I can take music classes to learn more about music.
Right.
Which is a good sign, because like I'm literally wanting more information for my own benefit, not for education, just for my own passion and curiosity.
And that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, I want to take some music classes because I'll just get better even. And then I was like, there was an amazing guitar teacher there. And it's great because I think about him a lot, and he's never been in a video with me. I mean, I keep in touch with him a little bit, but I mean, we're not, I don't know, like, I always reach out to him, but I think about him a lot because a lot of the fundamental stuff came straight from him,
Gotcha.
that I teach.
Gotcha. Perhaps that'll be in the future sometime.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Chris Sherland. And he, the other thing is, when I was in college and he was my guitar teacher, he's probably like 10 years older than me, and so I looked up to him. Like, that's when I actually saw potential to do it for a living, guitar, like, and not be a famous like rock star. Okay. So I looked at him and I was like, he's in a band, he's in like a professional funk kind of nightclub band.
Sure.
And he told me, like, it pays him pretty well. And then he teaches at the college that I go to. Right. He's got I'm going with the theme here. He's got a super hot girlfriend. Awesome pad with, like, one roommate, but just killer. He seemed like an adult to me.
Sure.
Like, together, not like a burnout kind of guy. Like,
not
super professional.
Burnout music.
Yeah, super professional. Yeah. Taught at the college, gigged, cute girlfriend, killer pad, made a great living. And I was like, dude, that dude's got it, man.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah, he's got the life. So that did open my eyes to that possibility. And I was just, dude, and then I got a college band, and we play at parties and drive up to Colorado and play at frat parties, and you get audiences screaming for you at college parties. Like, that's pretty addictive. I mean, I gotta say, that was still some of the most exciting performing times.
And that's the next step in your path.
Yeah.
And that's really where you cut your teeth as a professional musician.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Like, really started to go beyond, like, a hobby,
You realized you could be a career musician.
Yeah, I guess so.
Without, not really.
No, I know what you mean.
But it becomes something attainable.
But shout out to my college band, Steamroller.
Nice.
Yep. Still in touch with all of them.
Are they still a band?
No.
I'll hashtag it anyway.
Yeah. No, Steamroller though. That was just the 90s jam band stock band.
That's cool.
we had a great time, man.
So you're playing the funk, you're playing the rock.
Yep.
And then now you start teaching here soon, coming up in this trajectory?
I mean, basically before I graduated college, I actually took over for that guitar teacher in the band that he was in. Funk cover band. We were talking about the funk.
Yes.
The funk connection there. So all of a sudden, I'm like 21, 22, maybe 21. And I got to now learn a couple of sets of funk covers, and start making some money and being in a band. So before I graduated, my whole senior year, I was already in a pro band, like being able to pay my rent and, not making, I think I was making $300 a week playing in a band in 1996.
Nothing to sneeze at.
No, God, no. At the time, dude, are you kidding? I lived with some of my other like Steamroller bandmates, and the stereotypical college Animal House kind of thing. The garage was the jam room. The whole, we were a band, the whole thing. But I could buy beer for everybody. I bought the first PlayStation. I was rolling in it, man. But basically, because of that, I was not in a rush to go try and have to go get a job. So when I graduated college, which I did end up getting a music degree instead, as my dad will tell a wonderful story. But but I was able to at least pay my rent and not be stressed, about that. Like, what do I do with my life? Mm-hmm. I could just... But I was already dating my wife at the time.
Great.
So, like, I was like, I got the girl, I got the gig, I got, I've got...
You got some income?
Yeah, I got some stuff going on. So really from there, I was like, well, I'm going to eventually... I graduated school, gigging on the weekends, so I need a day job. So I'm like, well, I'm going to start trying to teach guitar lessons. Just like my guitar teacher, Chris Sherlin, I basically modeled my initial kind of career just right after him, teach lessons, gig in a band, and whatever other opportunities as well, like he would do sessions and stuff like that. He was an LA guy.
Okay. Brilliant. So I love this because similarly, it's basically a career musician's template.
Yeah.
I learned the same way you did by observing others and then getting to know them and taking some lessons and then following in that similar trajectory. So that is the path. Unfortunately, as times have shifted, the music industry has shifted drastically. So this is one of the key things I really want to talk to you about in this interview. So now you're gigging, you're teaching, you have multiple income streams, everything's going great. You might be doing some sessions here and there. You're doing plenty of gigs, So what was the catalyst that said, okay, I'm going to start doing video lessons. I'm going to jump in on this YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you've been referred to as the godfather of YouTube guitar videos. And I am certainly not going to contest that. I believe it. So how the heck did you make that transition?
Yeah.
And was there an incident? Was there something that propelled you towards that? Or did it just evolve organically?
Yeah. So that time when I first started teaching guitar was about 96, 97. So then cut to moving back to California, getting married, trying to just get something going, teaching and gigging and blah, 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 blah. I end up in a band down in San Diego. That was, a great working band. I was teaching lots of lessons. And in 2005, so basically from 97 to 2005, I was gigging nonstop, teaching nonstop. Sometimes I toured, sometimes I played with an American Idol guy that we talked about, or I was in multiple bands, all these different, basically just doing that musicians, gigging, teaching thing. And then 2005, I totally fell into another gig of teaching elementary school music. And
that's fun.
It was great. And from that, and from that, I got a whole new world of like kid lessons that I was giving. So like group lessons, I was putting bands together, kind of like more of a, like the lesson thing went crazy once I became a elementary school music teacher because the referrals of the amount of students I could get from that was like the most amazing like lead generator for
There you go.
for teaching lessons. So so really I thought that was my calling and I was good at it. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll go get my teaching credential and become like a full-on, because this was like part-time. I thought maybe I'll become a full-time elementary school teacher, even maybe not even music. The benefits, I can still teach and gig.
I could see you. You would
Yeah.
be the epitome of a teacher.
Oh, thanks.
In that kind of context.
Well,
in addition, to
I
what
was
you do.
really found this whole new thing in my life accidentally. Basically, this elementary school, like their teacher quit like 2 weeks before the school year was supposed to start. Their music teacher, and they pay them through the PTA. So you just need you don't need a teaching credential. I think you just need a music degree or something.
Okay.
So they were like in a bind, and they saw one of my ads for guitar lessons where I said I had a teaching degree. Because I was like,
There you go.
guitar teacher available, music degree, I'm fun, but whatever.
Right.
So they were like just desperate, and they were like, oh, since you have a music degree, like, you ever thought about teaching elementary school music? And I was like, no, I've never thought about it, but let me think about it right now. That could be interesting. And then, so I went, and this was kind of like a whole new world for me. And that's when I started making videos, because I had group lessons, and it's just hard to give individual attention in a group lesson, you know?
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to make like basically a boot camp of techniques that you're going to need. So when you do get that alone time with me, did you watch the DVD I burned for you? You know? So
Brilliant.
that was the start of it. And that was probably like 2006. I had YouTube already because I had a baby daughter at the time. She's 13 now, but at the time I was using YouTube to send videos to my mom of like my daughter taking her first steps or making a funny cute face, and you know the files were too big to email. So I was like, oh, this thing YouTube is like a video hosting thing. So I thought of it as more of a video hosting platform for myself, and then
Keep the family connected. That's
yes,
a great
and
idea.
then so here's where we get to the next thing. I never had a moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to start a YouTube business, because it didn't exist yet. I didn't have that day where it's like, oh, today now I start a YouTube career.
I think it's important for people to hear that.
Yeah,
It
because obviously it's
evolved
different now.
organically.
Now that it exists,
Right.
it's a thing that people would say, how do I do that? Whereas me,
Right.
there was nothing I was trying to do because it didn't exist yet. Like, I was that first adopter. I'm not saying I'm the first one ever to do guitar lessons. I'm not. I'm definitely not. But there was no, like, thing to copy or want to be like.
Right.
You just, it was random, you know. But the epiphany moment was the third week in a row I was teaching this teenager. We were teaching Fire by Jimi Hendrix. And I'd show up, and any guitar teacher out there or student can relate to the teacher showing up and then the student saying, oh, I had a busy week. I forgot how it went. I'm sorry. Can you show it to me again? I promise I'll practice this time. So, like, I think it was like the third time where he was like, oh, how does it go again? Oh, I didn't practice. I can't remember how it goes. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I said, all right. So I flipped up the camera on my MacBook, and I just put it to the, you know,
little
photo booth or whatever,
yeah.
and I just hit record, and I played, okay, this one's for you, Colton. This is the Fire riff. Here it is really slow. This is what you need to practice. Here's the clip. Dun, 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 dun. You know, the whole thing. Stop. And then I told the kid, and his name is Colton. And, you know, of course he's like married now, and he's like a little kid. It's crazy how much time goes by. But I said, okay, Colton, I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to put your name in the tags. So when you go to YouTube tomorrow, you just type your name into YouTube, and this video is going to pop up, and I'm going to be able to see how many times you watched it. Yeah, it was like literally as simple as that.
First of all, that's brilliant.
Yep, thank you. But
Because that's a great way to monitor.
as I did it,
Yes.
I did have a light bulb moment where, oh shit, I can do this every lesson.
Wow.
I can do this every lesson. This is easy to do. So then it became more of a marketing tool, like how am I better and different than other guitar teachers?
Sure.
Well, I have a channel that is going to put content up for you individually. So when you go, you know, when you, after the lesson, I'm going to put all the key points of the lesson up on a video, so you can practice right along, blah, 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 blah. Aren't I innovative? And then there was one specific moment where I titled the video, I was titling the videos with the student's name. Because you got to think, this is not what YouTube is now. This is like basically a video hosting site. it's a platform to host videos. I wasn't even expecting other people to watch it.
A lot smaller, a lot easier to find stuff.
Yeah,
but if you put in a video with a name,
but even the way people consumed YouTube wasn't even the way it was yet. It wasn't like, oh, I hope I get a lot of views. It was like, I'm putting this up for this kid. That was
didn't
it.
even think about the views.
Not at all. But that was the next. So for me, it was like light bulb, pivot, put a little energy, another light bulb, pivot, put a little energy into it. There was no like one moment. And I remind myself now, like, hey, there is no next level. It's like every day is you just keep adding, you know?
Those words from your lips to everyone's ears. It's hard work, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, youngsters aspiring, it is hard work. There is no magic pill. I don't care what you see from any advertisement or any online YouTube, Instagram influencer. It's hard work. Like you said, light bulb moment, put energy. You have an idea, put energy.
And I've seen people work even harder than I work on things that never were successful.
So you just never know.
Right. So I think one thing for me is, that word pivot. Like, I taught a kid, and instead of me putting his name as the first word in the title, I put the name of the artist and song first. Just like, not on purpose. There was nothing special about why I did it that particular way. But the next day, I mean, maybe it had like 50 views. Like, nothing crazy, but like it had, in other words, strangers' views, right? So then I was like, oh, well, that's easy to do. I'll just start putting the names of the artist and song first, then the kid's name or whoever it was, right? And that's called search engine optimization, but I didn't know that's what that was. It was just like, oh, more people watched it? Oh, okay, then I'll do that. And then 2008, the economy crashed. And so I got laid off from the teaching job. I lost some of the like casual regular gigs I had. I lost some students. So all these things kind of crashed at once. I don't know where you were during that time, but everyone felt it.
I felt it.
So I was like panicking, and I was like, I'm just going to make nonstop videos. I don't know why, I don't know how or what. I just need more students. So the more videos I make, the more known I'll be. Like, that's what I'll do. And so...
Great gut instinct.
Yeah, and it was like that, like, okay, I'm free because I have no work right now. What the hell? I'm freaking out here. Okay, I'm gonna make some videos, you know, and then from there is when I started like realizing that there was another world that I could start exploring, which is like online business, basically e-commerce, like all these different things that I had never thought about ever. And so from there, I started putting a lot more energy into learning about that stuff and actually, being able to turn it, where I was like involved with different projects and different things going on to actually start making a living in that regard. And so eventually, let's say it was 90% gigs and lessons and 10% online opportunities, right? And all of a sudden it was, 60-40, all of a sudden it was 50-50, all of a sudden it was 80% online income and 20% still gigging out and gigging. And then me going, oh my God, wouldn't this be crazy if all I did was videos? Like, what would that be like? And then all of a sudden it became true. And so then now, we cut to 2016 when I launched, the very first, brand or product that I ran completely on my own, which is Marty Music. So there's been a whole journey of learning to then get to this point now that's about 2 years or so in of, kind of trying to do it on my own.
Once again, let this be a lesson to us all. It takes time. You have an idea, you have to cultivate it, you have to put in the energy. Nothing's going to happen overnight. And people, like you said about that popular meme going around, people don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that's going into the project. Yeah. They just see the reward, benefits of it. Yeah. But they don't see the work that you're doing. So that being said, if you don't mind, let me ask you this little question. How did you figure out, because it seems like to many, its own algebra equation of itself, the Google ads and all that stuff, and how to monetize that. Did that take you a while to figure that out? Did you study some of that on your own?
Honestly, there's lots of trial and error. I never was involved in like Google AdWords or anything. Okay. I know a lot about it. just from being in what I do. But I've never personally been involved in those.
Okay.
I've always been involved in just like kind of the organic tools to, you know, utilize like the free platforms. Like,
Excellent.
I mean, obviously it started with YouTube.
Sure.
But the thing,
Sure.
one thing I do want to emphasize, and I think we got the gist, is that like I would experience something and react to it.
Okay.
And try and look for openings that could just give me the next step. So like, you know, this thing, I'm so grateful to have this thing going now, but it was just not planned out, you know.
Trial and error is a great way.
Not planned out.
That is.
I literally thought, oh, the more videos I make, the more gigs I'll get, you know, or the more students I'll get. Like, it was like really
right.
Ended up being way better than that.
But you mentioned it to me too earlier as well. You were talking about analytics, and it's important to study the analytics a little bit, see where the holes are, see where the potential for. So it seems like that's something you do.
Heavily study analytics.
Oh, okay.
And then the other thing is Marty Music. You know, I run it. I own Marty Music. I run it on my own. But I do have smart people that have guided me and helped me. And then I have a network for my YouTube channel called Maiden Network, and they're in Nashville, and they're all young in their 20s. And so, like, I met them a few years back, and they really, you know, when you have that next generation who grew up with this stuff.
Right.
You and I are pretty similar in age.
Yeah,
where we
right
kind of were
yes.
like young enough when the internet blew up to like adapt. We weren't
But-
like our parents.
Yeah.
Like, but also
but we're not fully immersed.
when you look at like
they
your,
are.
I know your daughter, or like
Yes.
my kids, or like these guys that I
Oh.
work with in Nashville, like they grew up with iPhones. Like
They're little computer geniuses.
Yeah, my kids don't even know that there weren't cell phones at one point. Like, you know, or like iPads or whatever.
Right.
Or YouTube even.
Right.
Like, they don't think about when YouTube even started. You know,
To them, it's always been in existence.
YouTube's
It's
a
here.
thing. You know, so yeah. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, it's like the difference between washing your clothes down by the river.
yeah.
And so using a washing machine.
But I've talked to. Are you familiar with Justin Sandrico? He's kind of the British.
Yes.
Well, he's actually from Tasmania, but he's lived in London for probably 15 years.
Right,
or so.
and he's got like Justin's guitar
Justin
channel.
Guitar,
Justin Guitar.
So,
right.
so we're friends, and he actually started before me, so I'll give him credit that
very
he
cool.
was like. When I first saw him, I couldn't have even imagined being at the level he was at when I first saw him.
Wow, look
like
at
millions of views and like.
But
the
look
whole
at what
thing.
you've built it to now. That's
I know.
amazing.
No, I love remembering back on that.
Amazing.
Just like really, I mean, we're friends, and I admire him still. He's awesome.
Right.
I just remember back then, like he was like, I just couldn't even imagine what that would be like.
So once again, for our listeners, let that be hope.
Oh, yeah,
If you
yeah.
look at something, you think, oh man, that's just unattainable. Don't, my wife always likes to say, being optimistic and wrong is better than being pessimistic.
Oh, for sure.
And wrong.
Does your wife listen to these?
She absolutely. So she helps me. Yeah, she
What's her
listens.
name?
Well, she goes by Lola, Nomad and Lola.
Lola.
Yeah.
Hey, Lola. Hope I meet you sometime.
Shout out. Absolutely.
Thanks for editing.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome.
Thanks for taking good care of Nomad over here.
Oh man, thank you. And that's what. Let's talk about that, Marty. So,
Sure.
I was going to ask you a little bit, and I've already delved through, but the principles and methods. And I here's why I was drawn to you at the conference, the guitar lesson conference.
That was fun.
I met you, and you never know how people are going to be, especially if there's let's. Forgive me if you don't think of it this way, but especially if there's a little bit of celebrity status, right?
Okay.
Whether you want to admit that or not, there's some celebrity status because of what you've accomplished online.
Okay.
So you never know. You think, oh, well, I don't know how, so I'm going to be really polite and just stand up, but I'm not going to go overboard. My point is, you were extremely down to earth, kind, friendly, easy to hang with, and it seems like that's part of the formula that has helped the growth in what you're doing. And I'm going to call it your brand because it is, but it's also so damn genuine, bro.
Thank you.
It really is.
Well, it's very kind of you, man. I appreciate it. It's always weird when someone tells you you've got a great personality. It's like, how do you answer that? You know what I mean? Like,
that a
I don't-
compliment?
Yeah. Well, he's got a really great personality. Like when you're trying to set someone up. And
Set someone up on a date, yeah.
Look, I appreciate everything you said, and because this is a business that I've been doing 10 years, I've heard multiple times about my, that personability and
Right.
all that. And I will say I taught thousands of lessons before I was ever on a video. Plus, I liked film. So
that helps.
I was totally interested in that. So there's all these little things that I it's like a perfect combination for my little skill set to do what I do. More than, certainly, fits me better than being a sideman or, I'm not as deadly of a guitar assassin as, someone like a Tim Pierce to be a session guy. There's just, for whatever reason, I just, path of least resistance for what my skills are is where I'm at. But the mission statement for Marty Music, which is not changed, was just the most authentic version of myself that I can be. And so that's the whole mission of, when I'm in the videos. I've been doing it a long time, so I'm comfortable trying to be myself. But literally, it's the mission statement is the most authentic version of myself and education, right? So, it's a business, videos, all these different things. But if I just strip everything down to what the core is, it's education. It's not creating music or creating art. It's literally, I'm following a path as an educator, and it's fun, and there's jamming and gigs and different things, but it's literally it all gets stripped down to that. And then just doing it, I teach the way I wish someone would have taught me that first time. That's it.
To that,
That's
bro.
it. Whether I Berkeley School of Music would think I should be more strict or should follow this curriculum, this or that. That's just not what my mission plan is. And also most of my viewers are hobby, fun time guitar players. I totally get it, and that's who I embrace,
All right. I love the fact that Marty tried to avoid business school and sales and marketing classes and all that jazz, only to become the online guitar YouTube guru extraordinaire that he is. I mean, that's kind of ironic when you think about it. I guess my takeaway is that sometimes you got to do the things that you were never really drawn to in the first place, but you have to find a way to make it work for you. And then, of course, following up with the time. He put in the time. Remember, going viral doesn't happen just instantly. And as I say these words to you, I'm telling myself, we have to put in the work, the grind, the hustle, the daily discipline.
You're listening to the Career Musician Podcast with your host, Nomad.
So I love it. Your mission statement speaks volumes about you, and you have upheld it to the highest standard.
Thank you, Nomad.
Absolutely. So listen, now let's talk about, again, principles and methods. What do you think about your business acumen? Because obviously, like you said, this is a business.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about,
Let's put it this way. I probably started playing guitar and became a music major to avoid sales and marketing.
Exactly.
You met my dad.
Yes, who is
a sales and marketing
guy, yeah.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, I was trying to avoid business and a businessman. Oh, I'll be a musician. That's not business,
Sure,
blah. But no matter what it is, it's sales and marketing. If you're a professional guitar player, it's sales and marketing. In fact, I tell people, you got to get as good as you can get it on guitar when you're still in high school and stuff, and your parents are supporting you, because once you have to support yourself, there's not going to be a lot of time to practice. So you got to be good, then learn what the real game is, right?
That's right.
You just have to be especially as your field, professional guitar player, right?
Right.
The chops are a given, man. You have to be good at
That goes without saying.
So that goes without saying. So now there's a whole world that exists which boils down to sales and marketing. Sorry, I hate it. Hate to mention it to you artists out there. But
it's true.
But man, once I embraced the concepts of sales and marketing, which you can do in an authentic way, and with character and with morals and ethics, you can totally do it. But shit, man, you gotta understand it. You gotta study it. I mean, right down to one of my first marketing lessons was accidentally titling that video with the song name first. That's marketing.
Brilliant. Yes. Yes.
But it's just embracing things that work. But yeah, man, it is, everything is sales and marketing. I mean, dating, being single is sales and marketing.
That's a great analogy. Good point.
I mean, it is all, Instagram Facebook, social media is marketing.
Sales,
You're marketing
that's
your fake life or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
your
or like your
quote-unquote
ideal
brand.
life.
Ah,
Yeah.
good way.
So that's marketing. So I mean, unless you're Prince, you know, or well, actually, Michael Jackson was a brilliant marketer, and Madonna was like one of the greatest marketers.
And so
of
was
all
Prince
time.
too.
Prince,
the
too.
mystery was the thing behind
Was
his
the marketing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is like, yeah, unless you're like, you know, just people are just throwing themselves at you, you know, which is pretty rare. Then it boils down to sales and marketing. And I'll tell you, man. I mean, you know, the people that are the richest are certainly not scale. It's like talent to how rich you are. I mean, not by any means. Or even talent to how many gigs you get. There's so many factors.
That's right.
And, I mean, no one likes an asshole anyway. So, like, yeah, someone like Prince or James Brown can get away with it. But when we're talking, like, billions of people on Earth, and we're talking about 1 out of a billion can get away with it.
Right. It's 7 billion. Yeah.
7 billion now.
7 billion, yeah, with a B.
Yeah,
so,
and
man,
the amount of people using the internet is growing
It's
exponentially.
intense, right?
Like I was just like learning about these stats. Like pretty soon, over 6 billion people will have access to the internet.
So that's a great point. Speaking of the marketing and everything, how do you stand out now? You obviously have established a brand.
Yeah.
What are you working on in the future without divulging too much? Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
How do you say, oh, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna help me create more of my unique.
I like talking about
vision,
the future.
you
The
know?
future's fun.
Yeah.
It's unknown, you know, and it's the exciting part.
It is exciting about our jobs, right?
Yeah. Well, I learned that I am thinking of this brand as education, right? So for me, it's where and how are people learning, and how can I stay at the forefront of where education is going through the internet. So like I'm really just trying to reach more people, and like my channel's free. I mean, yeah, I sell stuff on my website, but I mean literally my lessons are completely free. So it's really about keeping the guitar alive, making it as easy as possible for anyone that wants to be able to play. And I'm sure there's going to be some crazy technology coming that I mean, none of us could have predicted, you know, Napster and MySpace and stuff when it happened, but then it opened up all these new ways of thinking. And like I grew up with a skill set where my perfect job didn't even exist at the time of me fantasizing about what to do with my life, you know?
When you put it in that context, that's pretty mind-boggling, actually.
It is, like, thinking about, like, oh, well, I really like playing guitar. I really like video and movies and editing and, you know, and I like teaching. I'm good at teaching kids, like, you know, all these things, you know. It's like, oh, you should be a YouTube guitar teacher. I mean, that didn't exist.
Well, let's develop the platform first.
Yeah. I did think way early before YouTube, though, about, like, having like a cable access guitar show or like just I was definitely thinking, God, you could reach so many people through the internet and through
So your beacon was on that path. You were
a good
forward thinking.
I was definitely thinking about video, and I was thinking more of like cable, and wasn't totally thinking of YouTube didn't exist, and I was already. Do you remember Esteban?
Of course. With the home shopping network?
Yeah. So that's basically way back then.
Marcelo's in the background laughing. No, it's true.
So we're talking way back when I was a guitar teacher, but YouTube wasn't big. And video wasn't like a normal thing that you could share easily on the internet yet, you know, video files. Right. So when Esteban was like peaking on Home Shopping Network, all that stuff, I was like, shit, wouldn't it be cool to have like a normal dude doing that? Like the cool, like normal guy? Like the Jack Black guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like I was thinking way back then about that.
Wow.
Like, because Esteban was like a character. I was like, there needs to be the like college dude or what, like, you know.
Regular Joe.
Me. It was me.
Regular Marty.
For me, anyway, in my mind, it was me.
But you, dude, you successfully stepped into that position, filled it, and knocked it out of the park.
I definitely visualized being Esteban, like, but the cool version, like authentic me, but like in his.
I'm giving you some dap. You accomplished it.
It's crazy.
You did it.
It is crazy because when I was thinking YouTube didn't exist, right? So I'm like, I could do that. I want to do that, but like be my version of that. And then when I see someone say, dude, you're like the new Esteban, or like, I would just Esteban's so cheesy, but
I love that.
But or the just I was definitely visualizing that.
Think about it. Everybody always says KISS, keep it simple, stupid,
Yeah.
right? What you're doing, you're keeping it so simple, so the masses are attracted to it, and your average guitar player who just wants to jam around as a hobby doesn't feel intimidated and can learn.
Yep.
And feels like they're learning from their best buddy.
That's what I mean, like I said, I tried to do what I know would have worked with me.
Yeah.
It's an easy like concept to always go back to. Like,
love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
Easy as can be. So not strict, not like always let's have fun, like just, a relaxed atmosphere. Whereas like Justin in a totally fine way, because there's people that prefer that.
Right.
A little more proper guitar instruction,
And that's his path.
Totally
yes,
cool.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. There's and the great thing about the technology with YouTube and the whole advent of apps is that
cool.
there's lanes.
Yeah.
There's multiple lanes, and we can all drive in whichever lane we feel most comfortable.
For sure.
So listen, we're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts really quick about endorsements. Musicians, especially young career musicians, always ask me, "Hey man, how did you knock down this endorsement deal? How did you link up with this company?" Blah blah blah. And you have a really unique approach with endorsement deals in that you don't do them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
which, by the way, I respect.
Yeah. No, maybe it's not in the traditional sense,
I think it's fantastic.
The fact that I'm a music educator, I just feel like, of course, I'm going to develop relationships with companies. I'm going to have preferences to guitars I like and gear I like and all that. But I've just tried to keep Marty music agnostic is the term that I didn't actually come up with. My team helped me come up with that. But
gear agnostic, I like it.
Yeah. Just in other words, since I'm in this guitar world, I don't want to be limited by a deal where I can only play one kind of guitar,
right,
or something like that. Now there's brands that I am collaborating with, but I think just because I'm in this kind of uncharted territory with that, like rock stars have signature guitars, and the endorsements are a big part of a different kind of world that I'm in.
Right.
I'm in this other weird thing.
It is,
now, I guess they call it influencers now and all that.
You're an influencer,
yeah,
correct, yes.
But,
which, by the way, most influencers are shoving brands down people's necks all the time, So, again, it's refreshing the approach you're taking.
Well, I have relationships with the companies, and none of it is under any kind of exclusivity.
That's great.
And it's only stuff that I would use normally. And, any piece of gear I talk about or demo, people are just assuming I'm getting paid for it. But I actually haven't been.
I've watched a lot of your Thursday
Which I'm
gears,
thinking maybe I should just get paid for it. And people think I am already.
Well, see how that
No, but really it's agnostic. And then when I any gear that I do cover, I'm never telling. Well, one, I'm not ever demoing stuff that I think sucks. So stuff that hasn't been good, you've never seen. Maybe I've gotten stuff, and if you haven't seen it, then I didn't like it, or it wasn't for me.
Sure.
And I'm just not controversial, so I'm never going to be this sucks, Fender sucks, Gibson sucks. What are they thinking? That's just not what I do. It's basically I'll be here's this piece of gear. Why don't you let me know what you think of it? I'll make it sound as good as I can.
Right.
You guys tell me what you think.
But I think that attributes to, again, your great success because of that.
Yes.
And I do believe in a society where conflict is so rampant and everybody wants to have, confrontations. I think it's nice to play the role you're playing. Be yo, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's fun.
We all have our
we
all have our moments, though. We all get a little.
All right.
Someone can hit my button.
Speaking of moments,
yes.
Perhaps one of your most memorable moments in your career, musically speaking.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking me?
Yes. What did you meet a hero? Did you have an amazing conversation?
Yeah, this one slipped in one of the other. I didn't mention this one in another one, which some of my family was I can't believe you didn't mention that. Is that I jammed with Blues Traveler.
Okay, that's freaking killer.
And so I could sit there and be tell your 18-year-old self that you're going to be up there fucking jamming with them. Like, you know.
How old were you at the time?
No, it was like 2 years ago. I'm saying
So,
if I could go back in time and tell my 18-year-old
like Marty,
self.
what's his name from McFly?
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I could go back in time to like my senior year of high school and I'm like kind of playing some harmonica licks, I'd be like, you're gonna freaking. You're gonna trade licks with Blues Traveler. You're gonna actually blow them away. Like you're gonna go up there, and and then I got to say like, "Hey, you guys, you helped start this whole thing, a journey of mine, And actually, John Popper, the lead singer, was like, "Oh God, I'm sorry." Like in a facetious thing, like, God, you started like in other words,
that's funny, right?
I can sympathize. Oh, you're a musician now. Oh God, poor you.
Right,
like, how dare I? I feel bad that I set you on that path. And I was like, no, it's all right. Things are going all right.
They're good.
He had no idea like what I.
That's funny.
They really were not hip to YouTube at all. I mean, it was through a connection that I had.
Sure.
Their mentor was one of my teachers in college. Wow. I worked it out.
Connected.
But I got to go up there. I picked the song. So I got to pick which song I wanted to play.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And traded licks. He's jamming on harmonica. I was playing licks back and forth with him. And so that was just like full on, as full circle as you can get. And I've had some other like big audience gigs, like stadium kind of gigs. But I don't know, man. Like being up there with the band that made you want to, that kind of started it for you, and to like be a peer,
got an impact,
and to be a peer. Like I made it all the way to the point where we were on the same level.
You're not
together.
A fanboy.
Yeah,
you're a peer. Wow.
Or like, or like I could completely hang musically, like it was a very natural thing.
Right. Right.
And so it doesn't get more. What do you think, Mark? It doesn't get more full circle than that.
That was an awesome moment.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I remember when you posted that.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Now, speaking of which, jamming and having great times, you just did something at the Iridium in New York City, which was really cool. Yeah. So, do you see more of these live gigs happening for you in the future, or are these just random things that pop up every now and again?
Definitely in the random category.
Okay.
A good buddy of mine lives up in Northern California, and he is production manager for Phil Lesh, the bass player from the Grateful Dead. And
nice.
They have a venue up there, and so I just went up there 2 weeks ago and for the weekend and jammed a bunch.
That's nice.
Played some gigs, but that was because there was just an opportunity that sounded fun.
Excellent.
So I don't see it. Man, the traveling. I mean, the gigs are fun, but the amount of time I need to make videos like really suffers, and that's like the most important thing for me.
That's right.
So it's a balancing act, and I definitely will be out there more than I have in the past.
Sure.
And I really enjoy it, but I also have to know like what is the most top priority is videos. It reaches 10,000 more times more people.
Funny you brought that up.
Yeah.
I hope my numbers are pretty close or updated. But
Oh, yeah.
Almost 99,000 followers Instagram, almost 300,000 on Facebook likes.
Yeah.
Your numbers are strong, bro. You're almost at 1 million subscribers on Marty Music
In 2 years, which I had never done anything like that before.
Okay, so in closing, with
Yes,
these stats
please.
in mind, and your workflow, which I love, these
Thank you.
principles and methods that you adhere to on a regular basis, wrapping this all up in a beautiful bow, what are the words of wisdom that you're going to give to the person that says, I want to do what you do, man?
I'll have to tell it more in an analogy. So at the Iridium gig, a guy came up to me and he's a jiu-jitsu teacher. And he said, I want to do what you do, but with jiu-jitsu, right? So I'm going to take it out of the guitar thing.
Sure.
And what I said was, one, there's probably more room for growth and capturing an audience on Instagram right now. Mm-hmm. You want to do all the platforms, but maybe Instagram's like your entry, like the thing you want to put the most time into. But basically, you can't one, your first video you ever make is not going to be your best video. So you have to keep making stuff.
So accept that.
To get better at it. It's not going to happen overnight. But really have however little views it gets or however millions of views it gets, have it serve an immediate purpose like in your life. For instance, you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you have this arm bar that you want everyone to be working on. When you make that video that, you're trying to reach millions of people, make it so that it's immediately for your class. So you're going to be getting benefit from it. Also, if you're a blogger or trying to do something entertaining, make that content for your group of friends. In other words, like have the concept of who you're making it for, because if you can make your group of friends laugh, then that means that you're doing something right to reach the bigger people. So I guess that kind of means like looking at it small with a purpose, no matter how small or big. Have it serve some utility purpose in your life. So like if you're a guitar teacher with students, make it so your students can see it, and then hopefully more people watch it. Does that make sense?
I think it's brilliant, and I'm smiling ear to ear here because I'm sitting on the couch of your set of your live streaming deal, and you did exactly that. So not only does he teach it, but he lives this stuff. I mean, this is what you do. Yeah, so I just feel like, I don't know, I just always feel bad for people that like are like working so hard and like nothing's happening. I have a sensitivity to it, especially like if I'm giving them advice. It makes me feel partially responsible, Excellent. Yes.
So that's another thing, is like have it serve a purpose, like that no matter how big or small that reach is going to be, like maybe it's just a funny video that starts off making all your family laugh, have it serve a purpose. That way you're not as like, oh god, it didn't get any views, or the business didn't start the way I wanted it to, It
doesn't become as daunting.
Yeah, and you're not as disappointed because you're like, it's serving a purpose, and then you're just trying to like, I remember getting 100 views and being like, whoa, like that's a lot of views. Like I don't know how people get 500 views, but man, 100 views is great. Oh shit, I got 500.
I'm part of that crew.
But it's like, and then
you have to
like,
start somewhere.
Whoa, this one only got 10 views. Oh, why did that one get 10 views? Oh, I criticized someone, or you know what I mean? Like,
whatever it is.
Hey, this one got 1,000 views. Why? What made this one get more views? And studying what's working and what's not. But it has to just serve. It has to like fulfill you in some way, or fulfill some purpose for you. Otherwise, you're just going to feel empty, because it does not happen overnight.
I love that.
Yeah.
Marty, you have epitomized this.
That's the double high five.
Double high five. Thank you so much for being a guest on the
Thanks for having me.
And so, once again, from your mouth, Marty Music found everywhere.
Yes.
Right?
MartyMusic.com, Marty Music on YouTube, Marty Schwartz on Instagram, Marty Schwartz on Facebook.
Right.
A plethora of fake ones out there, and
okay, so don't fall for the fake ones. This is the real deal, Marty Music.
Well, just look for the gray beard, because that's the current version.
Hey man, I love it. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right. Great episode with Marty. So much information to ingest here. I don't even know where to begin, but you know what? I love the fact that he says, make it your own. Your first few videos might suck. It doesn't matter. Keep doing it and make something that feels right for you. So if you're going down the road of creating social media, online videos of guitar instruction, or any other type of music-based media, that's the lesson. Just do it. Start somewhere. It will evolve and get better. By the way, Marty has a brand new signature series looper pedal that's out. You heard the man, Marty Schwartz, and Marty Music. Go get your swag.
This is the Career Musician Podcast with your host, Nomad.
So this is Marty's father describing how he landed on guitar. That's beautiful.
So Marty didn't really start playing guitar until he was a senior in high school, and it was just a hobby, but his true passion always was making movies. Ever since he was 10, 11 years old, he had a video camera in his hand, and he was Indiana Jones. So inevitably, at one of the high school college nights, we wandered upon a school, the College of Santa Fe in New Mexico, that had a Sony film lab, so he decided that would be a good place for him to go. And Marty went there to study film. Now, you don't really get into the film school until your junior year. So I remember Marty calling me right before the start of his junior year and says, "Hey, Dad, guess what?" I go, "What's that?" He goes, "I didn't get into the film school." I said, "What do you mean you didn't get into the film school? That's why we sent you there, and that's why I'm writing these tuition checks." he says, well, maybe it was the interview. I said, the interview? Like, well, tell me about the interview. He goes, well, they said, Dad, why are you so passionate about film? I go, well, what the heck did you tell him? He goes, I'm not. I go, why did you say that? He says, well, because I told them then I'm passionate about music. So they said, you better go over to the music department immediately and audition, because this is a performing arts school and there aren't very many openings, and good luck.
All right, that's a nice little cameo from Marty's dad, Steve. Again, you never know where life's gonna take you, so just go with the flow, right? Marty started off as a film student. Now he's one of the world's premier guitar instructors. So just go with the flow, baby, go with the flow. The career musician Nomad.
That's a wrap for today. Be sure to leave a review and subscribe to the Career Musician Podcast.
I'm just a nomad, nowhere man. Thanks for listening to The Career Musician by yours truly, Nomad. I just wanted to say that The Career Musician is now a member of the Pantheon Media podcast platform, which is an independent network of podcasts digging into music, culture, and technology. Also, if you go to megaphone.fm, you can stream the podcast, download it from whichever platform you choose. Thanks again for listening.
Now, darling, you'll be fine. I'll be back this way sometime. Until then, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause I'll